Right, so table borders. So far, the tables you've created have been a little difficult to read because they have no borders. In older versions of HTML, a border could be added to the table using the border attribute, like so: table space border equals 1, and setting equal to an integer. It could be 2, 3, 4, 5. This integer would represent the thickness of the border, so 1 would represent 1 inch. The coding example above is deprecated, so please don't use it. It's meant to illustrate older conventions you may come across when reading other developers' code. The browser will likely still interpret your code correctly if you use the border attribute, but that doesn't mean that the attribute should be used. We use CSS Cascade styling sheets to add style to the HTML elements because it helps us to separate the structure of a page from how it looks. You can learn more about CSS in your CSS courses. You can achieve the same table border effect using CSS. So table, table data, border 1 pixel solid black. The coding example above uses CSS instead of HTML to show table borders. We're going to need some more data in the table. Add the following data to the table. Make sure to place it after the second row table. Right, so we copy and paste that.
Spokane, Washington, 1999. After almost 30 years, Robert Lee Yates Jr.
But place it after the second row table. So we place it
Following 2 police interviews
there.
the previous year, detectives discovered that Yates had once owned a white
Run it.
Corvette, a car linked to one of the victims found in 1997.
And as you can see, it adds David Burgers to send invoice, Baker's Bike Shop send invoice. Basically all we've done is we added Adams Green Works 14 package items. We just done a table row and added table data. Table row, table data, 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 table row, table data. Sound like a run down record, I know, but that's what you do. And then you get a table like that. Spanning columns. What if the table contains data that spans multiple columns? For example, a personal calendar could have events that span across multiple hours or even multiple days. Data can span columns using the column span attribute. The attribute accepts an integer greater than or equal to 1 to denote the number of columns in it spans across. So 1 will be 1 column, 2 will be 2 columns, and 3 will be 3 columns, etc. So in this case, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and column span. You're going to go through 2 columns out of town. In the example above, the data out of town spans the Monday and Tuesday table heading is using the value of 2 columns. The data back in town appears only under the Wednesday heading. In the index HTML, which is here, span a TD element across 2 columns. So a TD element, we'll have the first one, and we'll span equals 2. No, it's column span. Column span 2. Run. Then you'll see it's sort of across 2 columns now. It's not just in the one box, it's across 2 columns. So under company name and under number of items to ship, it's the 2 columns. So we'll move on to the next bit. Spanning rows. Data can also span multiple rows using the row span attribute. The row span attribute is used for data that spans multiple rows. Perhaps an event goes on for multiple hours or a certain day. It accepts an integer greater than or equal to 1 to denote the number of rows it spans across. So again, you've got row span 2 columns, row span 3 columns. The first row contains an empty cell in the 2 columns heading. The second row contains the morning row heading along with the work, which spans 2 rows under the Saturday column. The relaxed entry spans 3 rows under the Sunday column, and the third row span only contains the afternoon row. The fourth row only contains the dinner entry, since the relaxed spans into the cell next to it. If you would like to see how the browser interprets the code above, feel free to copy and paste it in the code editor to understand a little bit more. An index HTML span and TD element across 2 rows. Right, so TD element row